I think laws are great to deter crime, and so if there were laws in place and if people were actually knew about these laws, they would be less likely to actually, violate somebody in this way. But in terms of policies, sometimes policies could be a bit tricky because they might not necessarily respect this person's cultural background or ethnic background or their beliefs. So we get into some sort of murky waters there. I think we should have more, perhaps, policy towards education. So education could start towards, educating parents, educating the youth, educating community leaders, educating faith-based organizations to kind of start this dialogue and conversation within society so these things would never take place.
So having laws and policies specifically towards violence framed as honor might further marginalize communities that are considered to have higher risk of this. I've heard people say that that there's laws that would specifically talk about shared collective property and how that needs to be proven so that the honor can be cleansed for the success of the entire family. And when I hear that, I think about the ways that, then the excuses that are already existing for violence against women. It sounds like exactly the same thing. So I worry that if we make laws and policies that would address specific communities, it would further isolate those communities. It'll add to xenophobia and fear. I think also it others the experience. A lot of youth said to us that, why am I different? I'm coming in, I'm talking to you about something that's challenging in my family, and because I'm from a specific community, you're going to talk to me and address this entirely different than you would someone who was getting beaten for another reason? How is that creating support and community where we understand each other and try and allow for room for different values and attitudes and ways of being in the world? So I think that laws and policies for preventing violence against women, I think that funding for shelters and support systems and community spaces that allow for people to have conversations where they have things in common, that would be a great policy. I think that having a law about honor killings and honor-based violence, which we try not to call it that because that's excusing the violence, I think that that would really be a sad direction to see things go for a community that already seems intolerant and lacking awareness at times of what this is really about.
Putting some policies into place can be fantastic for victims and for witnesses to give them more access to services and give them more power to have control over their situation, but at the same time, laws and policies can be limiting and actually limit the amount of service that a victim can get because we're putting it in a box and we're saying this is what qualifies. Everything else, like, it's not an out-of-the-box picture, it's only an in-the-box picture. And I think that it can become exclusive, and also it can target certain people and certain groups and can make it seem like it's only kind of in one space when really how it should be framed is in like a bigger picture.